G'day there everyone, you found the Champ Dog. Today we're going to be playing some Izzet Tempo. Just to get this out of the way, I'm coming at you all from the future. I've recorded this after playing the deck for a few days and recording the games that you're going to watch. So I toyed around with a few different builds for this deck. I couldn't really find anything I was quite happy with. I ended up looking at a few builds online and making a few changes. So this is quite similar to a list that Merchant ran a few days ago that was built by Shoto Takoya. Go check out his video too, so if you want to learn a bit more. So one of the issues I struggled with in my early build was not wanting to craft this card, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Given that it's a rare, which is my biggest choke point on wild cards, and that it's going to be rotating soon, I wanted to avoid crafting this if I possibly could. But with this style of build for this deck, the Arcanist adds so much power, it became pretty much unavoidable, and I did a lot better with the deck after building it. Riddle form here just seemed like a fun include. I had some fun with this in Core Set 2021 drafts, and I wanted to see how it would work here. I'm not entirely sold on the card, but it is fun. If you do end up playing it, it's important to remember the scry ability on it. You can see here it's got a pay 3 to scry 1. I missed that quite a few times when I had mana up to use it, and I've seen a few other players on Arena miss that as well. So if you're playing with it, remember that you can scry with it. The scry can be pretty crucial. So this card also places a bit of tension on your deck building. Ultimately, I think it might not be worth it, but it can also be very difficult for some decks to deal with, being an enchantment and also the fact that it's often only a creature on your turn. It's one of my better cards against some of the Rakdos sacrifice lists, as it can't be targeted by Claim the Firstborn, and if they want to kill it with Priest, they have to do it on your turn, which makes it harder for them to use the mana that they get. I did also have a couple of games where people weren't really paying attention and attacked into it, and I was able to ambush a creature by playing an Opt or a Shock or something and wipe out some of their creatures. So it does have its uses, and it is a fun card. But as I said, ultimately I just don't know if it's good enough and powerful enough to cut it at the moment. The sideboard I kind of just threw together. Some of these cards I never actually used. Probably needs a bit of work. But anyway, let's jump into some games and you guys will be able to see how we go. Okay, we're on the draw, which is not what we want. No one ever wants to be on the draw. It's Unicron here. See what we've got in our hand. So this hand's not amazing, but I've got the turn 1 Opt, so I can hopefully end an extra draw step because I'm on the draw to find the mountain. So I think it's keepable. Okay, so this probably means we're up against a Sultai player. There we go, red sauce. So I'm actually going to play the Arcanist. Assuming this survives, it means next turn I can play the Dorat, get a free Opt, grow the Dorat, sorry, Sprite Dragon. Yep, so they spend their turn ramping. Okay, so far we've only seen Golgari colours. Do I want the unsummon? So there could be Nissa next turn. Don't really know what I'm facing, but I don't have any way to get anything off the board at the moment, so I think I keep it just to be safe. Can also protect one of my creatures if they try to kill it. I like these forests. What are jumpstart away from? Okay, Elder Gargaroth. Crash through. Okay, draw into another land, so we'll play that out. Get the Scry, Riddle form. Sure, why not? And we'll replay Crash Through. Get in for 6 here. Play out the Stormwing entity and get that sweet Scry. So strong, this card. I don't think we need either of those. I assume they replay the Gargaroth here. They Murderous Rider instead. Fair. Do they have anything else? Not at the moment, but this could represent a second rider. So I'm going to play my second Sprite Dragon here. So let's fire off our Opt. I don't think we need another one. Okay, Bone Crusher Giant. Yep, it's going to resolve no matter what. There's no reason for me to cast Unsummon at this point. We'll get in for 3. Play the Riddle form. And threaten lethal for next turn. Sure. Kill something.
Coming. I guess today's your lucky day.
Ooh, should have gone for the Arcanist, TBH. Okay, so I can unsummon the Rider, get through for 4, and Bone Crusher Giant is 2. Good game. Okay, so what do I want against this deck? I guess Ethergust could be good. Probably better than the Giant. Didn't really see any 2-mana things. I don't think we want Narset. Didn't see a lot of card draw. Negate could be helpful. Oh, don't think we want Flame Sweep, that's for sure. So let's bring in 2 negates then and put back 1 giant. It's an interesting list our opponent's running. Obviously Golgari has a lot of good cards. But it's interesting that they seemed quite ramp based rather than more mid-rangey play to the board style. This hand's not great, but we do at least have turn 2 Riddle form. I think it's okay. going to shock this in to give myself the option of either opt or shock if I need it. Stormwing Entity is nice. So we'll play out the Riddle form here. Yeah, no early plays in either game from this opponent. So I'll go with the shock here to turn on the Riddle form. Okay, so they're holding up something. Oh, I probably just played this passage. Eliminate is fine. Stormwing Entity. Get that sweet scry. I assume this is going to eat a Murderous Rider next turn. We don't need more land, but the Durat could be good. Lots. Really wish I had double blue available. I do have double blue available. What am I talking about? So I'm going to do like this. Hold up Epidust next turn. Get in for 4. Sure, so we'll do this. Okay, let's don't take the action, so they could have another one in hand or just something better to do next turn. Crest is nice. Shifting Ceratops. Time Walk. Sure, why not? Keep the value train rolling. Play out Riddle form. Should have played that before, there would have been 3 and this would be legal. If I can activate it.
Finally, good. Don't be surprised if we meet again.
Ceratops comes down this turn, I assume. Yep. Unfortunate. So a shock would be an ideal draw at this point.
Its pain is our gain.
Beautiful. Good game. I'm the greatest player ever, drawing exactly what I need. That's the lesson here. Ooh, this hand will be okay if we're up against creatures and terrible if we're not. So of course we're going to keep it. There we go. So Steamman's tapped. out after rat. Get in for 1. So this is going to be a problem, but there's not much we can do about it. We've got Unsummon for the Pride Mate. Okay, what do I want to do here? So I need to get both of these out of the way. So I think what I do is get in for 3. So next turn will need to be a little bit tricky. Archfiend's Vessel. Okay, so this deck should have Loris in it somewhere. And or Call of the Death Dweller. Okay, so Flame Sweep can kill a Pride Mate with no counters on it, so I need to try and set up for that to happen. But for that to happen, I need 4 lands, so I'm gonna... honestly, opposite this time. I'm gonna bounce this again. Okay, so this is fine. We just bounce this end of turn and then flame sweep in our turn. Obviously, oh, they're not trying to be clever with the Pride Mate, they're just trying to get this to stick because it has flying and can block. Let's be realistic about what's going on here. I don't think we need a mountain right now. We get one anyway. Okay, so Aerialist, get in for 7. Actually no, we'll do this first and get in for 8. Also good that they were tapped out, because otherwise they could have sacked the Our Seed of Life's bounty. So they need to play the flyer to block. They'll need to chump block next turn. Yep. Play out the riddle form and hold up the borrower for their end step. Having a big old search down there. So this could mean a Loris or a call. Yep. I'm surprised they didn't go for these two, because they would have got a 5/5 flyer. That seems strange to me. Oh, I meant to flash that in on end step, didn't I? Oopsie. I still need to chump block, so we'll get through for 4. But yeah, had we remembered to flash in here. I thought I didn't read the button when I clicked it. I thought I had one more thingy before the turn ended. Had we flashed that in there together. So we could bring in some more removal. We could bring in counters. It's not as good when we're on the draw. This could stop their removal. But I kind of think maybe we just leave it like this. This hand is terrible. This hand is also terrible. I guess we keep it and hope that the crash through gets us somewhere. Mulliganing to 5 is basically conceding. It's not like I have super high quality spells, so I can hope that my card quality will carry me through the reduced hand size. Yeah, I think I have to keep this. We'll throw back a flame sweep. We do have an extra draw step. Find something. Do not find it, however. There's a lot of pressure on our next draw step. So the joys of 20 lands, I guess. Pride mate's already rolling. Okay. So, do I play Outdoor Rat? No, I play the Arcanist. Burglar Rat. Okay, so I discard Riddle Form. Block the vessel. The fact they attacked with it suggests to me that they have a Fall of the Death Dweller. I really needed another land so I could bounce that this turn, but yep, we'll play this. Where are my lands? So I assume they attack and then play Call of the Death Dweller and bring back some shenanigans. Probably the Burglar Rats and the Archfiend Vessel. I'll discard a Riddle Form. Try to bounce the Bridemate. No, try to bounce the token. And then attack with the Arcanist, flash back the Unsummon and bounce the Bridemate. Okay, not what I expected. Okay, so none of these are lands. So, crash through. Dig for land. There's a land. So So this gives protection, so I won't be able to bounce it. But I do need to get that off the field, so what I'm going to do is go to bounce this. They'll sack the owl seed to protect it. Give it protection to blue. So I can flash that back when I attack, but it still has pro blue, so I need to wait for next turn. So I'm going to flash back the crash through. Not bad. Unsummon's nice. Still expecting a Call of the Death Dweller at some point. Charming Defense, okay, gain life, pump the Bridemate. And they attack. Maximum aggression. Okay, so what are my choices here? I can Flame Sweep to kill that, and then flash back the Unsummon. And that would get me in for 8, 9. I can play this, flash back the Unsummon to get me through for 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I guess that's better. Riddle Form is a little bit slow at this point. I could cast an Unsummon as well and bounce the Prince, but I don't want to give them the opportunity to gain life again. Ooh. I could opt. Yeah, so let's do that. That's going to get us a little more damage in. Do I want another Flame Sweep? No. Bounce the Bridemate. So we're getting through for at least 11 here. 12 if they don't block. I don't see why they wouldn't. Borrow is nice here. And that should be game over. Gives us the good game. On the play, which is nice. Okay, against the Orion decks, this could be Doom Foretold or something like that. This hand is pretty risky, but we do have the opt, and it's good otherwise. So I'm going to keep it and hope that the opt gets us to our second land drop. Our second man drop. Okay, I really should have been more specific. I need a red land. At least we can play out this Riddle Fog. Burglar Rat, that's fine. So I will discard the Crash Through because we can bring it back later with the Arcanist. There's our red land. Kaya killed the Arcanist. Okay, unfortunate, but what do you do? They didn't attack with the Burglar Rat. That's unusual. So I could summon Sprint the Burglar Rat to play the Stormwing entity, but that seems a bit wasteful. Could see a Doom Foretold here. Just another Burglar Rat, that's fine. I'll pitch an entity. Okay, that sucks. Get rid of the Sprint here. Okay, so Flame Sweep will unfortunately kill our Durat, but it will activate our Riddle Form. Oh no, it won't kill our Durat because it's the Flying Claws, of course. We'll activate our Riddle Form. We can get in for 5. It'll stop them doing their bounce discard nonsense. That's fine. So we'll have to scry on our opponent's end step using the Riddle Form. Okay, that's fine. And it's not. We're falling further and further behind, but there's nothing we can do about it. And at least it doesn't blow up any of our things. Liliana is unfortunate. It's an interesting inclusion in this list.
My own fate. And yours.
I assume they tick up. Okay, no. Interesting.
Oh, you can scream if it hurts too much.
Unsummon. It's not ideal, but it does set them back replaying the Simulacrum. It does turn on the Riddle Form, and it does let us play the entity. So it's not ideal, but it does everything we need it to do, so we'll keep it. So we'll kill the Liliana here. That's fine.
I'll be
Scry 2 is nice here. Okay, so they're both good options. Yep, we'll keep like that. Okay, so they can get Urian. Oh, that's brutal. That's so brutal. I hate playing against Doom Foretold decks. Flame Sweep is not useless here, neither is our Bone Crusher Giant. Unsummon is less useful because all of their creatures have ETB effects. Shock is a little bit less useful. Brazen Borrower is a little bit less useful, but it can hit a few other things at least. I think I maybe cut one Shock, one Crash Through, and yeah, I cut a Brazen Borrower just to keep our curve a little bit lower. We brought in 2 3-mana spells, so I don't want too many high cost stuff. So to clarify, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Doom Foretold decks, I just don't like playing against them. I find them miserable. Yeah, this seems fine. We have everything we need right now in our hands, so there's no point to shock in with the opt. Burglar is fine, we'll drop an opt here. Narset's nice.
You're focused and disciplined. Encounter no obstacles. Hone your prowess.
Flame Sweep's nice as well. Touching my stuff. Eliminate. It's not ideal, but it's fine. Obviously they attack Narset.
I must stay focused.
Okay, so do I want to Bone Crush this and hold up opt? Or do I want to opt into Storming Entity? I think that's the stronger sequence, so we'll do that. Oh, Riddle Form's nice as well. More land is not bad. The Dorat is also not bad. What order do I want these in? I think I draw the land first. Stop myself falling behind in land drops. I'm happy enough to not activate this if it keeps them off Treacherous Blessing. That's fine, so we will exile the Brazen Burrower. And this could be a Charming Prince here. It is not. So I'm going to Flame Sweep here to stop them bouncing any of those. Would have been nice to use my mana a little more efficiently, but I just don't want to leave those on the board to be flickered with Charming Prince. That was silly. So we're going to play Dorat into Riddle Form here. Hey, we won one. I'm surprised we're doing so poorly against this deck, to be honest. I would have thought something like this would be quite good against them. Do I want to keep the miscast? Like, what instant and sorceries am I countering? I guess Agonizing Remorse and some targeted removal? Yeah. Okay, let's just keep it like this. This hand is terrible for obvious reasons. This hand is not better, but I'm not mulliganing again. We're going to get our hand picked apart by burglar rats and stuff. So Narset is the least likely to be cast on curve. The Dreadcord, the Arcanist we have two of, so we've got a draw step and a scry to find more lands. Beautiful. So I'm going to lead on the Arcanist. It looks like they're holding up removal, but it's still the strongest. No, if they're holding up removal, I'm going to go with Riddle Form and make it awkward for them. Rotting Regisaur. Whew. That's interesting. So we really need to draw into some bounce spells, which is fine. We do have them. Do I want to attack with the Riddle Form this turn? No, I think I play out the Arcanist. Ditching a Urian. So okay, Glass Casket on the Arcanist is unfortunate. Main phase this to activate the Riddle Form. Looks like our opponent is holding up something instant speed. It's fine, something's got to eat it anyway. And at the moment we're more worried about getting rid of this Regisaur. Okay, didn't draw land or a bounce spell. We're falling pretty far behind here. Ah, this goddamn doggo. Burglar Rat. Get rid of Narset. She's not doing anything anytime soon. Okay, that's game. Let's give him a good game. Nothing to discard. And we'll let them count us to death. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the games. Had a bunch of games that I haven't recorded with this. Some of which I wish I had. But as you saw, the deck is a little bit inconsistent. Finding the right mix of land, spells, and threats can be a pretty difficult needle to thread. I did have a few games that I didn't catch for you guys against Salte Ramp. They felt way harder than they should have been. I would have expected a Tempo style deck to do pretty well against them, but this list just doesn't seem to have the tools to keep up with them. I did have one game where I demolished my opponent, but honestly I drew pretty well in that. Got all my threats, got the spells that I needed to turn them on at the right time, and my opponent seemed to stumble a bit as well. Didn't have removal at key points, probably kept some bad hands. I think this list, and especially the sideboard, do need a bit of work. If you're really going to have a go at it, there's a few things you'll need to change. Personally, I'm a little more interested in trying a bit of a Protect the Queen style strategy with a few more counter spells and some other disruption. Particularly trying to make Lofty Denial work. I learned from my Demir Gargoyle games that having that sort of like cheap effective counterspell can be pretty big game in this meta. And Lofty Denial is a little easier to turn on than Drown in the Lock is. Obviously it's not as versatile and not as powerful, but it does seem pretty good and it does a lot for 2 mana. So I'd like to play around with this rather than trying to refine this particular list. I did have some high quality games with this list, but I had way more frustrating and inconsistent ones. The deck seems just a little bit too fragile for the current meta, and there's some tension in the deck that I mentioned in the intro. It sort of pulls you in 2 different directions. On the one hand, you need to have a bunch of spells to make cards like Stormwing Entity, Sprite Dragon, Riddle Form, and even Dreadhorde Arcanist effective. But putting more spells in takes away from your threats. Obviously Bonecrusher Giant and Brazen Borrower sort of do double duty in that regard, but neither of them fit in particularly well. The Brazen Borrower felt like a better fit for the deck than the Giant. I very rarely ended up using Stomp. Giant came out in a bunch of games, but you can't flash them back with Arcanist, either of those, so there's some tension there. So finding that right mix of cards can be really difficult. You put in more spells, you have less threats. You put in different threats, you have less spells. Things like often crash through, they're really important as cheap cantrips to help you churn through your deck and activate your threats, but they don't really impact the board or the game that much. They just sort of like grind their gears, but you kind of have to have them, which means you've only got a few spaces in the deck to actually play around with. Yeah, there's a bunch of tension in building this, and honestly, I don't think it's worth trying to resolve and optimize that. Overall, I think the deck's pretty fun. It's just not particularly powerful or potent, and given that this sort of build is pretty reliant on Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is going to be rotating soon, it's probably not worth building this deck if you don't already have the cards. But yeah, it was fun. There's definitely room to improve if you do want to explore it, but yeah, I'm going to be trying some slightly different avenues. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Stay brilliant, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.